Hi again, everyone. It's Michael. I got a couple of encouraging comments from my last video, so I'm plunging ahead with what may be my own personal, my own personal mission, uh, which is to advocate for re-engaging across the aisle. And the reason that I am advocating for that is not because we should be nice or we should all get along or any of those things. It's a matter of practicality. The way we're conducting ourselves right now as fellow Americans is not working. It's not effective. It's not doing what we want it to do. Um, I've become pretty good friends with a guy on Twitter who, boy, we couldn't be more different in our philosophies. We absolutely disagree, and we get into it, and we get frustrated with each other. There's no question. I'm baffled, honestly baffled. I can't understand why he supports who he supports and embraces things that he embraces. Um, and I'm sure he thinks the same way about me. Um, and the reason that we are friends and that we can converse like this is because we have a basic respect for each other. In fact, one of the reasons that I'm baffled by his point of view is that he seems like a pretty intelligent guy and a pretty good guy. So I can't put it together. But we still converse. We still think it's worthwhile. And I'll tell you something. There have been just a couple of things on which I've changed my mind, and a couple of things on which he's changed his mind. Only because we're open to discussion. There's been a little budging, just a little. We still are diametrically opposed. He's an enormous Trump supporter. I couldn't be more anti-Trump than I am. But the point is, we could still share a country, Stephen and I. We could still share the country, even though our ideas are very different. So let's talk a little bit about effectiveness. Now, I am, again, not trying to convert anybody. I'm just sharing a point of view. I couldn't be more passionate about the cause of Black Lives Matter. It happens to be pinned to the tippy top of my list of things that I am unsettled about that I think has to change now. That's me. And part of that is because I grew up with a lot of black people and that's family to me. But I think the greatest impact has been from watching these videos where I've been seeing with my own eyes what's been happening. Those videos are very convincing because I'm making the assessment myself. I'm looking at what's happening and I'm seeing it. You know what's not effective is my fellow countrymen who share my beliefs about Black Lives Matter, but who are expressing it by destroying property and rioting and getting in people's faces and trying to intimidate them into saying the words Black Lives Matter. Now, I understand the anger. God, do I. But you know what? Do you think that any of those diners at that outdoor cafe who got intimidated into speaking those words changed their minds? Did they have a revelation? Did they go home and say, I get it now, Black Lives Matter? I don't think it did anything but got them to double down on whatever they believe. Yeah, and even if somebody came up to me like that in an outdoor cafe or whatever, I'm not going to speak the words just because somebody is yelling at me and trying to scare me into it. Saying the words doesn't do anything. So that's effective versus not effective, right? If you don't think that people should have to wear masks, you know, because you think COVID-19 is a hoax, I'm resisting the temptation to argue with you. That's not the point of the video. But when I see somebody go into a store and make a big scene and spit in people's faces and yell in people's faces and try to scare them and hurt them as a way of expressing their desire to not wear a mask, it's not a convincing argument. It doesn't achieve what you think it's going to achieve. It doesn't do what you want it to do. Now, all this may feel really good. It may be really satisfying to get in somebody's face. It might be really satisfying to yell and scream and burn things and break things. I can understand that. But what it isn't is practical. It's not effective. It's not effective. So I think that's a consideration worth having. And again, as I continue to talk to you about things that we have in common ground, I think, the commonality is, I think, I assume, whatever your beliefs, that you'd like to get the other side to get it. You want people to get it. You want them to get it through their skulls and see what's going on and change their minds, right? No one has ever changed their minds or their hearts because somebody called them a clever insult, or called them stupid. I mean, on Twitter, I've been told, well, you're too stupid to understand this, but you probably can't grasp the facts. That doesn't make me inclined to listen to the point of view. No one has ever changed their mind because they got hit with a stick, or punched in the face, or spit on, called names. So it's not even a matter of being nice or not nice. It's that isn't doing anything to help the cause. Look, I've been reading this book. I don't read a lot, so don't be impressed. I've been reading this book called, I think it's called Love Your Neighbor. Yeah, Love Your Enemies. Love Your Enemies. Arthur C. Brooks is the writer. By the way, he's a conservative, this writer. So, before you dismiss it as biased propaganda, just hang on a second. But he made an interesting point that kind of really got my attention. He said, people don't even change their minds because of facts. At this point, if we throw facts at each other, numbers and data, I'm sorry to say we're so skeptical about what's true and what's not true, and so confused about what's true and what's not true, which is a tragedy of our times, that we don't believe in proof. We're so skeptical that if it comes from the other side, we dismiss it as fake news, propaganda, or media manipulation. So the facts and figures don't do it. Personal stories do it. That's what Arthur C. Brooks says. When people hear somebody relate their personal experience, or you see that's something you can identify with, that's something you can connect with. Like, they say that right now there are 345 children at the border who've been separated from their parents. It's a number. It doesn't have an emotional impact. But if I show you a video of a little kid whose entire life has been turned upside down and who's been permanently traumatized emotionally, and you see this, one child, that's going to have an impact, because you can imagine what that feels like. This writer said, there's an equation that he applies to this that's called 1 is greater than 10,000. So anyway, that's just a little sidebar about making your point and making your case. I would like people to, I would like Trump supporters to see what I see about this man, who I think is just a monster. But I will never achieve that by telling you you're stupid or ignorant or racist or hateful or brainwashed. I might have a better chance if I attribute to you the ability to reason and the ability to discuss. And I can tell you what my experience, my perception is, my feelings are. And that's all any of us can do. Again, that's not what I'm doing in this video. That's not what the video is about. This video is about us recognizing there are conversations to be had, and that the survival, I really believe this, our survival as a nation depends on this. Because, as I said in the last video, we can't divvy up the land. That's not going to work. We can't get away from each other. So let's start at least trying. At least trying. One of the best things you could do is get to know somebody of a different ideology. It's one of the reasons that I'm coming to you now, is, get to know somebody who has a different ideology. You might be very surprised. Be willing to find that you maybe do have some common ground. All right, at the risk of repeating myself, I think I'll call it a day for today. Thanks for letting me talk to you today. I'm certainly interested in your comments, pro or con, I'm not promoting anything, but if you feel like these ideas have value, please do subscribe and share, because I'd like to be part of the solution if I can. That's kind of the whole purpose of this. Thanks for listening. Bye.